Did you have like one moment where you just finally said, I'm done?
Oh, yes. Everyone says, oh, you look great. You lost so much weight. And I don't feel like I've lost enough. I don't feel like I've reached that goal. And so when I look in the mirror, I see a 300-pound person still.
Have you heard of imposter syndrome? Something that I'm hearing you say, which is really cool, is that, when you're working with these people in a clinic, you're calling them to be their best. But it sounds like when you're talking about your goals, you're calling yourself to be the best, which is a big difference.
My name is Faith Myers, and I am with Chaffee Strong, and we are a walk-run clinic open to men and women of all ages and fitness levels.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back a little bit because I went on your Facebook and I've done some snooping. And I looked at some of the photos. Let's talk about what inspired this for you in the first place.
My own personal weight loss journey.
Yes.
And I was with another organization that did similar as far as the clinic. And so I was at 300 pounds at that time. And so I wanted to provide that for other people, a safe place. My goal was for weight loss, but everybody has a whole different why, is what I like to call it. It may be empty nesters, or mental health, weight loss, or just to get healthy or to do something with a spouse or with a sibling. So I wanted to provide that for other people.
Yeah. And I imagine that, with all things in life, mental health, physical health, sometimes those things do kind of just creep up on you and you don't recognize it.
Right.
But for you, what was it? Was it that it creeped up on you, you didn't recognize it, or were you going through some things in life at that time to where you had gotten to that weight? And what was that like, getting up to that point to where you decided, hey, I need to make a life-altering choice?
When you can't do things with your kids,
okay,
and you're like, I want a different life. So you make that choice, and you got to figure out how what are those steps? What do those look like? And so for me, and then of course in the journey, there's all kind of mental stuff going on. So now running has become my mental place that I can go relax. It actually helps me.
Yeah.
So, but again, just to provide that for people, whatever their reason is, but main focus is health. Let's get moving. And that looks different for everybody, but a simple walk, or those that just said, hey, I want to run, but I'm not sure where to start. We give them that safe place and kind of guide them through that.
I imagine that even though you did have those hurdles and you realized them, some things maybe were happening that were little things that went unrecognized before. So I think it's important that people kind of hear kind of what that was like for you. So just describe to me what some of those things you couldn't do that you begin to recognize. Oh, I used to be able to do this with my kid. Now I can't do this. I used to be able to go to this place and do this activity, but now I can't. What were some of those actual situations that you were in at that time?
Sometimes it's just the simple trying to walk to wherever you need to walk, doing the field trips with your kids and you're out of breath and you're dying, going to a restaurant, sitting in a booth. You hope you get sit in the right table, or just those little things that you realize something has to change. But not getting to enjoy that time with my kids was the biggest eye-opener. And my son was in the band, and trying to climb the stadium seats to be able to see him, that took everything.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want that anymore.
Did you have like one moment where you just finally said, I'm done?
Oh, yes.
What was that moment? Where were you at? What was the date?
I was at work, and it was the beginning of 2017. And I just thought, going to the store to find clothes. And it's like, I want to dress cute now, and I can't dress cute, those type things. And I just thought, I'm done. And I'm going to figure out what steps I need to take to get this weight off. And I had tried for several months with walking and just could not lose the weight, and it was a discouragement. And I finally made the decision to have weight loss surgery. And so August of 2017, I had the weight loss surgery, a gastric bypass, and it changed my life forever.
Can you describe exactly what that is? Or, I mean, as best as you can.
They go in and basically reroute your intestines and makes your stomach smaller.
Okay.
But it's a tool. I always tell
Okay.
everyone it's a tool. It's how you use that tool once it's given to you. I am almost 7 years out, and sad to say, a lot of people who have this will end up gaining the weight back.
Really?
Yeah, and that's hard for me. But if you learn to use the tool correctly, you can have your whole life ahead of you. And so for me, it was, you have to eat right. You have to make sure, and it's not that I eat all the healthy foods. There's times I will eat other things, but exercise, whether it be walking, I like to run. I've ran 17 half marathons and numerous 5Ks, 10Ks, and stuff like that. But it's being active. You've got to, I can always gain it back, just like anybody else that has any kind of weight loss. However, they are successful in that, but it's the long term. And so I had to do a lot of, I do a lot of intentional stuff in order to keep the weight off.
When you went in, was that something they told you as soon as, like, right before you had the surgery that, hey, most people gain the weight back?
No.
Okay.
No, they did not. I think some of it has improved nowadays to when I had it.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of mental things. I still see a 300-pound girl.
Okay.
So body dysmorphia is a real thing.
Okay. Talk about when that began and like, what do you mean by that? Yeah.
Everyone says, "Oh, you look great. You lost so much weight." And I don't feel like I've lost enough. I don't feel like I've reached that goal. And so when I look in the mirror, I see a 300-pound person still. So that is a very real thing for me. And there's a very real fear of gaining the weight back. So I don't know if that motivates me to keep it off or what it is, but I think you have to go in there with a good mindset that this is a tool and how am I going to use it? I don't use a hammer to screw in a screw. I have to have the proper tool. So if you've given that proper tool, you got to make sure you use it in the right way.
Yeah. I mean, if you did do that, that would be impressive.
Right? Yeah. I can use it better enough for about anything. But
So do you think that mindset is self-imposed, or do you think you picked that up from somewhere along the way?
I think I did pick it up with a little bit on my... Oh, that's a really good question. I think there's a little bit of both. I think there comes to a point it has to be you. You have to want it. That doesn't make it easy, but also, and that's through the clinic, one of my goals was to create the community of support for people. And so when you have someone to walk with you, run with you, or just help you along the journey to encourage, that's life-changing. And sometimes it's just easier to try something when you have someone else with you or a support system.
Okay.
And support system is huge. And my business partner, Dawn Miles, has been my support system from day one. Well, actually, about 3 years ago we met, and this is where we come up with our concept. But that was one of the things we wanted to know is people need a support system. And so that's kind of where that kind of came into.
Yes. That's so good. That was actually going to be my next question is who was that support for you? Because, in my mind, yes, I can have these thoughts about I want to do better. I do have those goals, right? I have different mental goals, different life goals, different body goals that I would like to achieve. But let's go to body. Like when I wake up in the morning at 6:30, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want that goal enough to achieve the body that I want someday. So I'm thinking in my head, or I'm wondering, what do you think about when you wake up in the morning or whenever it's time to go do that workout or it's time to go run and you don't want to? What motivates you then?
I want to be in the same situation where I can do what I couldn't do. I want to be in its health, being able to just walk to the mailbox without getting out of breath or walk up a flight of stairs and not get out of breath is probably my biggest factor. I just turned 50 years old this year, so I want to be healthy. I want to be able to do things. I want to enjoy life. I don't want to be in the background watching everybody else have fun. And so I think those reminders of the things that I couldn't do that I can do now, being able to do a setup and not have it modified is a pretty cool feeling. Now, I can't do very many of them yet, but the fact is that I can without modification. Those are my things that I think about.
Yeah, your little goals, your little wins.
Right.
Okay, so you went from going to the store, shopping, and getting really upset that you didn't like the way that you were living your life, the quality of life that you had. So you made a choice to make a change.
Right.
And so you picked up some tools to help you make that change, and you did the surgery, and then you also began to work out, you began to run. When did you decide, I want to help other people out of this lifestyle that they don't also like living as well?
It was probably during COVID. I have a group of friends that were very supportive, and we would ride together and cycle together and run. During COVID, we did a lot of virtual half marathons, 5Ks, because there was nothing else you could do. So I had a support system. And in the clinics that I did, there was always, but I seen so many people who didn't have that. And I think COVID taught us community is important. And so during that, I was like, people need this. And whether it's for one person or however many, I just want to provide that.
Did it start with one person?
The first clinic I had like 30 people.
Oh, wow.
And this year we actually had 227 participants.
Okay. Can you walk me through setting up the first clinic? Like, I'm sure you had to learn quite a bit to do something like this.
There was some models out there that I had. So what we do is we have a 9-week program, and we meet 2 days a week and on Saturdays. And our goal is to have a 5K celebration at the end. So you're working for a goal to a 5K, and probably 85% have never even completed one. So it was a lot of just trying to figure out. I kind of had some models to look at, and a lot of Facebook, a lot of knocking on doors for sponsorships. And we've had some amazing sponsors like ArcVest, Keto Brick, Grand Savings Bank that have believed in us, the Connex Bar, and the Barracks by providing us a location. So it was a lot of groundwork, but it's getting easier now. Now I have about 20 leaders who help and support it. And so it's getting a little easier now.
Yeah. How did you build a team? And I guess with that team, what was the first person you decided to say, hey, I need your help too?
Dawn and I looked at, we couldn't do it all alone. And we put a plea out there, hey, if you want to be a part of this. And there was a few of them that stepped up. And then there was a few that we went to and said, hey, we would really like for you to think about being a leader. And this is what it's going to detail. And I remember having a couple of them saying, I'm not a leader. I'm not the fastest runner. I'm not this. Well, that's what we want. We want people who are just everyday people. And that's really who we touch, is everyday people. It's not elite athletes. Some of them are great athletes, and they are athletes because they're doing something that's athletic. But it's just the everyday people that want to be able to be active, and, but there's that facade of, I got to look like a certain thing in order to be a runner or to teach someone to run. And that's not what it's about. It's just whoever is out there, and we're doing it.
Yes.
Some are faster, some are slower, and that's okay. You're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, even with the model of gyms nowadays, you don't really want to have these gyms who are you don't want to promote the people who are lifting the big weights, who are really, really buff, because that's going to discourage the common person from wanting to go to that gym, because obviously your clientele doesn't look like that, or else they would have already been there,
right.
And so I definitely understand being able to bring on leaders who aren't those people who are all buff or all fast, or the most, I don't know, they have the biggest lung capacity you've ever seen.
Right. And we've got leaders who are at different levels. Some of them are actually starting over because they've had injuries or life has happened. And we've got some leaders who are really fast naturally. And that's a great thing about our clinic is we had all types. But the thing is, that's where you grow and you walk along somebody who may start out slower and then they end up in the middle. It's a journey and everybody's looks different, but having that support is what makes the journey better.
Yes. So can you walk me through what kind of the business model looks like for this nowadays?
I don't know because there's really not a business model. So
Yeah.
it's really something from the ground up.
Well, I mean, you have sponsors is what I was asking.
Yes,
And so because you have sponsors, that means you have some sort of overhead. And so that's what I mean by, walk me through those things. To do something like this, like what's your overhead? And then how many sponsors do you need to bring on for a clinic?
Yeah.
How many clinics do you do a year?
Yeah, we only do one right now and we end it with a 5K and we've carried a little bit of the financial burden because we feel like it's worth it. And I think with any entrepreneur does the same. But we have insurance. So if anyone's injured, we are covered in that and look for the liabilities. We purchase medals for the 5K. We purchase T-shirts. There's water every time we meet. Those are the things. T-shirts and medals are probably the two biggest things. And then, of course, your timer. Because on our 5Ks, we want to give everyone their first great experience at a 5K. So we have a timer so they get a real time. And so that's another big fee. So
Can you explain what that is specifically to people? Because I know when you first told me, I didn't necessarily know exactly what it meant. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
The 5K?
Yes.
5K is a race that's 3.1 miles. So you have a timer and everybody gets a race bib and it has a chip in it and they use the MyLab system. So basically once you cross that mat, your time starts. And when you finish the race, it ends it. So you know whether it took you 30 minutes to run the race or 20 minutes. And then it'll tell you your pace if it was a 9-minute pace or something like that. And of course, at the end, you get a finisher's medal with a 5K. So now all of them get a finisher's medals, but with our group, because people have worked for 9 weeks to get to that point. And it's so much fun because we have a kickoff party to kind of give everybody an idea of how everything's going to work. So that first night of clinic, they're comfortable. They know what to expect. I can't walk a mile. I can't even walk half a mile. And you see, and you give them, okay, well, we're just going to walk for 30 minutes. And then they look to see what they've done and accomplished. And you see that every week, this little progression with everyone. And then you see people who's like, I'm never going to run. And then next thing you know, you look up and they're running. And it's like we teach intervals. So it's not, hey, I wake up one morning and decide I'm going to run. So I'm going to go run a 5K. There's training. And we don't want people to be injured. We teach them proper stretching techniques, things like that. But then you see these progressions with the intervals that, okay, just run for 30 seconds, walk for 30 seconds. You can do anything for 30 seconds.
Yes.
And so we just basically encourage them and progress them. And then you see them actually running. Some of them will run it. Some of them will only walk. And that's okay. They're doing it and they've completed a 5K and then we celebrate it.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. There's a runner. His name is Casey Neistat. He's a YouTuber, but he loves running. And he did his first marathon and got a good number for the general public, like a really good number, but to like people who run, not very good. And one thing that he says now is he's never going to do that again. He done it one time, but to train to finish a marathon at a very, very good time or a 5K at a really good time, it's so much work that it's not necessary for everyone to try to beat their time every time. And so even with him being a big runner who he wakes up every day and runs 20 miles, he says that he enjoys the process he just enjoys running.
Right.
And so on the next marathon, he's not running the whole time. He's running, he's walking, and he's okay with that because he's achieved what he wanted to achieve before and he doesn't have to go there again. And I think having that mindset of the longevity other than hey, I want the beach body, is a good mindset because then you're not thinking short term, you're thinking long term.
Yeah. And you can't just focus on speed and because that brings injuries. So, and I've been in that mindset. I just want to get faster. I want to get faster. And I have to remind myself that Faith, you're 50 years old now, but also enjoy it. If I can't enjoy it, why am I doing it? So now for me, I kind of taken it's not about speed, but it's just enjoying the journey. And the race is, how can I put this in words? It is, you hear the terminology, it's your race, your pace. And it really is, because regardless if you're the first runner or the last runner, you get the same medal. And nobody ever asked me, what place did I place? They just asked, did you get a medal? I mean, they just want to see the medal. So it's not even about, it's just about completion.
Yeah.
It's setting a goal and completing it. And running a lot of times mirrors my life sometimes, because sometimes some runs are harder than others when you're dealing with heat or you're dealing with rain or extreme cold. And it's like, it's easy to say, you know what, it's too cold, I'm not going to go run today. And sometimes we get up, you know what, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to deal with life, and we shut the door, but we can't. So same with running, you just kind of have to make a choice. Okay, this is going to be a tough one today, but we're going to just fight through it. And sometimes you're miserable, but when you finish it, there is that, okay, I did it. I didn't feel like doing it, but I did it. And then there's some runs that are just, I don't know, you just like you're running on air and it's a good run. And so you take whatever those are and you do it, but there's that solace that you're in for me when I'm running that no one else is doing it. It's kind of just a me thing. But it is nice when you have somebody running with you, say, you know what, we can do this. We just did a mile. We've only got 2 miles left, especially in a half marathon. So it's really just a lot of life lessons in running.
What are some other ways that running has changed your mindset compared to previous?
Oh, that I can do it. I mean, if I really work at it, I can do things. And there is, I don't know, it's just, there's no words that I can really describe to you. But I have told myself, you know what, Faith, you've ran a half marathon. You can do this. You can do hard. You can do this when it seems like the odds are against you. And it's hard when you're that last runner, because I've been in that. And I've been where I'm now. I'm kind of in the middle. But I don't forget about that last runner and that feeling of, I am the last one in. But the thing is you have to respect that person because you keep going. Knowing they're picking up cones behind you, and everybody's waiting on you because you're the last runner. That's even more that you have to fight through.
I mean this respectfully, but do you think that person that mindset that you're in, that person that you're thinking about, I can do this, you feel so much joy because you have been in a place where it was rock bottom for you and where you were in that situation? Do you think that makes those moments more like it has more passion behind it because you knew where you were?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's still hard for me sometimes to decide or to see, okay, like this clinic, I had a concept and it's, this year we had 227. And if you would have told me that 2 years ago, I would have never dreamed of having that many. But I think it's being real with people, letting them see you struggle, letting them see that, this is the real me. This is life. There's some days I have to walk more than I run, but I'm still doing it. And I think being transparent with people, and then also I'm still learning on how to give myself grace. That's not one of my strong suits because I'm hard on myself. But I'm learning.
Have you heard of imposter syndrome? You should look into it. But basically, I'm going to give a bad definition, and I don't have my phone by me, or else I would look it up. But basically, is the way I've heard it be described is when a person is fully capable of doing something, everyone around them validates this, but them themselves feels like they're the only person who disqualifies themselves from being in a place that they are in, while other people qualify them to be in the place that they are. And so they feel like an imposter. Like everywhere they, when they're walking out their gifts and their talents, they just feel like an imposter, while everyone else sees them as someone who is not that. So the reason why I said that is because it sounds like I'm hearing a little bit, because I'm like, okay, you've gotten 200 people to come together to agree to live a better lifestyle. That's amazing. Yeah. But yet you say sometimes you still do face these thoughts of, well, why am I here? I'm still in the middle of the pack.
Right.
And but you also know, like you just said, that that's completely okay.
Yeah, there's probably 100 other people that can do it and do it better, but they're not. So I'm the one that, for some reason, won't give up on the concept. And I won't give up. Maybe it's because I don't want to give up on myself, but I don't want to give up on people. I want to know people that they're valued. And when you have leaders that come and they see your vision and they just buy into it and they're putting everything they have into it, that's why it keeps me going, is because again, community is everything. And everybody needs a community of support.
Yes. Something that I'm hearing you say, which is really cool, is that, when you're working with these people in the clinic, you're calling them to be their best. But it sounds like when you're talking about your goals, you're calling yourself to be the best, which is a big difference. And not all the time, like you said. And we all do it.
Yes.
But I feel like whenever there's, like, we achieve like success in different areas of our life, and it's really hard. Like, you want to be the best mom. You want to be the best dad. In reality, it's like, when you step back and think about it, it's like, the best mom? Come on. The best dad? There's 7 billion people in the world.
Right.
But when you do step back and then you say, okay, I want to be the best version of a dad that I can be, you feel so much more free to be yourself, to mess up, to say, I'm sorry, because, hey, I'm expected to mess up, not, oh, let me punch myself because I'm so mad that I did this thing that was wrong, or I didn't achieve this time, or I didn't finish this run. You just feel a lot more free. And you're just like, hey, I'm happy to be here.
Right.
I'm happy that I have the medal in my hand.
Right.
I'm not happy to see the time. I'm happy that I have the medal in my hand. I've been somewhere.
It is. And when you think of the people that can't do it, but there's a lot of people that you think that can't do it that, I've seen the blind runners with their guides. And you see that, you know what, I'm doing it. And you can give yourself grace. We have Ainsley's Angels that we work with, and the runners will push the children who have physical and sometimes mental issues so that they can participate in a race in a chariot. And you see that and you see their joy. You say, oh, okay, but at the end of the day, did I give it my best? And so I have to do some examinations and say, you know what, I did all I could do. Was there things I missed? Definitely. But at the end of the day, was I the best I could be? And if I didn't make it, what am I going to do different tomorrow to be the best I can? Yeah.
And I think when we're outside of that mindset in life overall, I think that's when we begin to play this comparison game with the world, which is very dangerous, because we're not comparing ourselves to what we set a goal to be. We're comparing ourselves to what the world has set the goal to be. And let's not even get started when it talks about...
I know, because that's all messed up.
I know. Body image when it comes to women.
We are the hardest on ourselves as women. We will talk to ourselves in ways that we would never dream or talk to another individual. And to me, that's wrong. And we got to fix that. I don't know the answers.
Well, it sounds like the answer is just being okay with that you're trying your best.
Right, exactly.
And actually, I guess, trying your best.
Yes.
And so for you day to day now, you've lost a lot of weight. How many pounds have you lost since then?
Close to 150 pounds.
Wow. Okay. So you've achieved like a lot already. Day to day, what does it look like for you to walk in that healthy mindset and achieve the goals that make you look back and say, okay, I did my best?
I'm still working through all that, but it's basically giving myself grace. I know that sounds, but I have to be very intentional with proteins. I don't count calories, do all that. And it's like you go on a lot of these social media platforms and it's what I eat in a day. I don't need to know what you eat.
Yeah.
I mean, and somebody who's fought obesity, we know all the tricks, we know all the diet schemes, and it's not living in a diet. It's just a life change. And so I think you have to take it sometimes minute by minute second by second, hour by hour, or day by day. So every day I decide, okay, if I eat this way and I get the protein that my body needs, it's going to fuel it so I can go run. It's going to fuel it throughout the day that I'm not going to be groggy or anything like that, but I'm going to feel like faith. And then that helps with the brain fog and all that. So it's really making those choices. I don't always hit them, but I know, okay, I don't want to feel like I did yesterday. So I'm going to continue to do that. Drink my water, those things. And because I do like it when I feel better and I have a good run. And there's days that, you know what, I'm not feeling a run, but I can walk. Or maybe I cut the distance down, or there's always these different things. And then giving myself grace of what, with this heat, if I know if I'm not getting my water in, it's not going to go well. So just learning. But then again, just being intentional with everything. And I think we are the hardest on ourselves and not comparing ourselves with other people. It's like, I want to look like that. And that's something I'm still learning, but I'd much rather be where I am now than where I was. But I don't ever want to go back.
Well, some of the coaching things that you do with the people who are in the clinic, can you walk me through some of the conversations that you and your leadership team have with people who are facing these tough thoughts as they're running? I can't do it. Or I know like one thing you've already said is, okay, maybe you can't run a mile or walk a mile, but let's just do something for the next 30 minutes. So what are some other types of conversations that you've had with people in the clinic like that?
There's been conversations of, I can't do this. Okay, well, let's just try. Let's walk. Sometimes it's let's walk for 30 seconds or let's run for 30 seconds. Or, okay, you can't do a mile or you can't do a half mile. Let's just walk to the fence post or something. And you say, okay, how do you feel? You did great. And it's just sometimes just being there, talking to them, supporting them along the way, saying, I know you said that you didn't think you could do it, but do you realize you just did a half a mile? And the looks on their faces are like, what? Are you sure? Yeah, you did. And especially when they're not used to it, the breathing, we just kind of give them techniques. Well, try breathing this. And we go through the stretching techniques at the beginning. And as a group setting, everyone's doing them together, so nobody feels awkward. I mean, there's always that kind of an awkward feeling, but when you see that everybody else is participating, people are doing it. And we had ages 9 to 82 this year. And when you see an 82-year-old out there trying, that's what it's about. And so you see that inspiration. And so we do things like that. We do things where, okay, slow your pace down. Maybe you're walking too fast or you're running too fast. So slow it down because you can't carry on a conversation. You can't talk. So that tells us you need to kind of just slow it down a little bit and just giving them and walking them through those type things. And then when you see people who are mentally struggling, it's just sometimes saying, hey, you are doing an amazing job. Keep it going. And we this year did a technique that was a little different where we sent runners one direction and our walkers another way. And so people were kind of crisscrossing each other and encouraging, high-fiving each other, saying, oh, you're doing great. Those are the things. And you see people smile and it's just encouragement.
I think that's so important because I bet for a lot of these people, that's the only encouragement they hear that week.
Right.
That's so important.
I think this year, the biggest eye-opener for us, we go into this for our physical health. We want people to just start moving. But we got our eyes open a little bit more to the mental. And so seeing people just needing that community, needing somebody to walk with them that night, to just talk. That's life-changing. You spend 30 minutes just talking. And I know some of our older participants, that's really too, it was a physical thing, but then just, our 30 minutes is already up because they're getting to talk because they don't have anybody to talk through during the day. So being able to ride that, you don't anticipate it going into it. And then you see that's something that they enjoyed, but they're feeding their physical, but they're feeding their mental and their emotional too.
Oh, I think they're 100% tied together.
Yeah.
I think living an unhealthy lifestyle will definitely affect your mental health at some point.
Right. Yeah.
For some people, they try to push it off, but it definitely will affect you. And it doesn't mean that you have to be obese to be unhealthy. You know, I've never been big, but there have definitely been points where I was unhealthy. Like right now, I'm unhealthy. I cannot go and run up and down a basketball court right now. I just can't. Could I before? Yes. Do I weigh any more than I have before? No. And so I think, like, even me knowing that now makes me want to go, like, try to get healthy, try to do better. Because now I know, you know, when I achieve that and I run and I get to a place to where I do feel healthy and I am able to run up and down a basketball court, whenever I don't feel like coming into work that day and I want to sleep in because I am my own boss, I say, no.
Yeah.
You got to go to work. You ran up and down a basketball court the night before. You can do this.
And that's the thing, too, is we want a mindset. Fitness looks different for everybody. It's, you know, disc golf is something that people do. Pickleball. It looks different, but you're out there, you're being active, you're moving. And we just start with walkers and runners because that's just here. But we are starting a run club, and the Chaffee Strong Run Club, and that's one of our initiatives is for everybody. And we want to do different things because it could be kayaking, but you got to walk, you got to be you're moving. But the biggest part is we will go to 5Ks together, we'll go to races together, and there's just many walkers in a race as there is runners. So some people like the goals of a race and, you know, trying to achieve a medal or something like that. It's a goal to keep them going. But with the club, we want to be able to demonstrate that it doesn't have to just look like what fitness or you go to the gym every day. And going to the gym is great. I'm in that mindset right now of doing the gym, but it's great when you can take a clinic and you're outside and you're enjoying the beauty of the day. Sometimes it's hot and sometimes it's cold because during our clinic, we start with really cold temps and then it gets really hot. But you're outside and you're enjoying. We get to be in the Chaffee area. There's so many different things to enjoy that you don't get in the gym. And I think that's also good mentally for people, just to be outside and enjoy that physical, but also you're feeling you're in the sunshine. You're just, like I said, there's so much more into it that you don't get in the gym, not to bash the gym because that's great. But, you know, getting to be outside and do something that you enjoy is better too, I think.
Where do you hope, or where do you hope to see Chaffee Strong in about 5 years?
I hope to see it have other little subgroups throughout the state. And then we have one massive 5K here at Chaffee to end the 9 weeks. And people of different levels, men and women, of all ages, sizes, colors, whatever, just have accomplishing a goal and celebrating it. Taking that moment to say, I did this. I've worked to get here. It's not about the time that it took. It's not about whether I struggled, but the fact that you did it and you were consistent, and that's what got you across the finish line.
That's awesome. Can you tell people how they can be a part if they want to be a part of Chaffee Strong community and really the clinics and everything you're doing?
Yeah, we have a Facebook that's called Chaffee Strong Walk Run Clinic, and we are in the process of getting our website up. They could call me, email me. We've got some really fun things that we're fixing to start. We're getting to help host a cross-country event in the first week in September for the area. So that's going to be the first of its nature. So we're really excited about that because we hope that we can start bringing stuff like that and help supporting our cross-country teams, especially in the rural areas, but mainly to provide a place for our kids to do cross-training or cross-country runs and stuff. So that'll be a 2-day event. We'll have an open 5K for everybody. And then the next day, we'll host for a cross-country.
That's awesome.
We're excited about it.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate you.